But he wanted to know if there was any kind of a marker where Crossley Field was.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3,
over
4,
on
5,
Western
6.
Going inside the issues of our community, this is Local 12 Newsmakers.
This is WKRC-TV, Channel 12 Cincinnati.
Welcome.
Good morning and welcome to Local 12 Newsmakers. That's the way WKRC looked and sounded when our current building, which opened back in 1960 when the station was just 11 years old, was built. Over the last 60 years, commercial television and WKRC have undergone repeated changes and transformations as new technology and programming has emerged. But in just a few weeks, on June the 12th, one of the most sweeping and important sets of changes will be fully implemented: the switch to digital television. Over the past few years, and especially in recent months, we and other broadcasters have been working hard to make sure you are ready for the switch. This morning, we wanted to talk about what's behind the switch, some of its implications for both you as a viewer and as a citizen. I'm joined this morning by Les Vann, the Vice President and General Manager here at Local 12, and Ken Wenzel, the IT Manager and an engineer who understands the technical aspects of this switch and can get us through all of this. Welcome to Newsmakers.
Thanks, Dan. Good morning.
Thanks, Dan. Good morning.
Les, we have been talking about this for quite a while. Where do we stand? Do we have any sense of how ready Cincinnati is?
The picture is largely good, but there are some areas of concern. Overall, less than 3% of all of the televisions in the market are not ready. But the key there is there are an awful lot of homes, maybe as many as 20%, where there are still some television sets in the market that are not ready. Maybe a secondary set that is in a bedroom, in a kitchen, in a basement. So despite all the education efforts that have gone on over the last several years, really since this thing started in 2005, there are still areas that people have not yet made the necessary changes to watch free over-the-air television.
Well, we're going to talk about what it means for the viewer in a few seconds here, but Ken, what's it meant for us and for other broadcasters? You know, Les just mentioned since 2005, we've known for sure this was going to happen. What are some of the things that we've done here at the station?
Well, we put in a new digital transmitter here at the station. Switch from our analog to our new digital transmitter, which is different than the current one that we're on, which uses less power. We've also kind of educated the public. We've gone around, we've done shows like this. I've done shows with Paula, I've done shows with yourself in this case.
And the other thing, Dan, I think people have seen some of this, but through this technology has allowed for high definition television, which we've done with CBS programming for some time now, sports and primetime programming and soaps. And sometime this summer, our local news will be in high definition. So, and the multicasting, the fact that we can do a CW station to have two streams of programming at the same time is all a result of this change in technology that is now almost complete.
Well, one of the things people can do if they want to be sure that they're ready, and a lot of people have done this, so they go out and buy a new television, because new TVs at this point are all equipped to handle this. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so if you go to a store, you're buying, you can be sure that that's ready to go.
Correct. They're no longer supposed to be able to sell non-digital ready television.
Okay. Now, one of the concerns, though, is people who have those older televisions that don't hook up to cable, or they're not hooked up to cable, or to a dish. They need one of the converter boxes, right?
That's correct.
Okay, now these converter boxes, where can people get those?
They can get them at any of the local stores, electronic stores, big shopping center, Kroger's or Myers,
Okay.
Best Buy, Circuit Cities.
Even some of the drugstores now have them. I was at a CVS store the other day and they had a big sign on the window at CVS that they had boxes
And
available.
this is what people can get the coupons for. They can get a $40 coupon to buy one of these converter boxes.
Right.
Now, one of the concerns is, if people are like me and they're not very technical, not like you, is how to install it. And you did a little piece about how to install one of the converter boxes. I want to just take a look at this, because this way people can not only hear you explain it, but they can see you do it, okay? Let's take a look at that.
Okay, the first thing you're going to do if you're hooking up your box without a VCR is you're going to have to remove the antenna input on your television back here. And this is going to be the cable. If you have a house antenna, you're going to use your antenna from the roof. If you don't have a roof antenna, you're going to be plugging your antenna into the connector on the back of the box that says from antenna. I'll hook that up. Then you're going to plug the other short cable that comes in the box. One side goes into the connector marked to TV. You plug that in. And on your television, you're going to hook that back up to where you took your antenna cable previously. Then all you're going to do is plug the box into the power. And you should be all set to turn the box on. Most of them have a power button on the front, or you can use the remote. We'll use the box for this demonstration. We'll turn on our television. Now your TV is going to have to be on channel 3. If your TV's not on channel 3, then you're just going to get a snowy picture.
Okay. Ken, that all is very simple for you, and actually we know that an awful lot of people have already implemented and set up their boxes. There are some people, maybe older people who aren't so comfortable with this. What do you recommend? How do you recommend they proceed on something like this?
Well, they need to talk to their neighbors and their relatives and get some assistance, because it's not easy for everybody to hook it up. Like you said, it's easy for some people. Some people find it to be more difficult. Some people have antenna issues and things that are a little bit more difficult than just a simple hooking up of the unit itself.
It seems to me this is the perfect thing if you've got a grandchild or you've got one of those neighborhood kids that's walking around with all kinds of electronic gizmos. They can do this in their sleep, and they just ask for help, right?
Correct.
So this would be a very good way. Now, one of the other concerns here, whether you bought a new set, you've got that converter box, I guess even if you're on cable or the dish, when we actually make the change on June the 12th, people will have to rescan, right?
Yeah, not the cable or satellite customers,
Okay.
they're fine. But the over-the-air homes using those boxes or the new TVs, they will have to rescan after we make the switch on all the stations, the remaining stations in Cincinnati make the switch on June the 12th.
And once again, Ken's going to show us how to do this on a little clip he's already prepared. But just what does scanning do? Why is that important? I mean, besides the fact you got to get a picture up, but what's it do for the TV?
In our case, we're actually changing channels from channel 31 to channel 12. If you don't rescan, you may not find any of the changes that happen. You may not find any of the additional channels that may come available. Scanning in the digital world is going to become something that happens all the time.
Now, when you say, people think of us as channel 12. You say we're channel 31. What's that mean? I mean, on my TV, we're not 31.
We put information inside of the digital stream to make that box, to make your TV show you channel 12.
Okay.
In some cases, it doesn't do that. In the older cases, the older boxes, but all the newer technology now shows up as channel 12,
Okay.
or 12.1 or 12.2 in the case of the CW.
Which is the multiple streams.
That's correct.
And in the future, we could have even more than 2. Is that correct?
Yeah, there is capacity to do more than that. There are some technical issues, some that you have to be concerned about the quality of the picture, but there is enough bandwidth there to do even more than 2.
Let's take a look, because a lot of people are going to be affected by this scanning, even if they've already put that box in service. So let's take a look at your explanation of how to do this and make sure that people understand this, because a lot of people are going to face this. So take a look.
After the switchover, if you're seeing this, no signal, or you have a new television set, you're going to have to rescan your TV or re-auto tune it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to go ahead and push menu on our remote. Different boxes are going to have a different thing, but basically on the setup option, you're going to have something called Easy Scan or Rescan. You're going to hit that. You're going to hit enter on your remote. You're going to keep hitting enter, and it's going to go through and scan. Sometimes this can take a long time, upwards of 5 minutes. Sometimes it's pretty quick. It depends on what kind of antenna you have or where you live.
Okay, so again, for people used to this, seems pretty easy, and having worked around a TV station for as long as I've had an opportunity to do, I've sort of learned that pressing a button isn't a scary thing. You can always repress it and go back to where you were, but this looks confusing, or it may be, this is another place where you might just want to ask someone for a little bit of help, right? How is this actually going to happen on June the 12th?
At about 2 o'clock in the morning of June the 12th, we'll turn off the analog transmitter, and then the only signal that will be going out will be the digital signal. So when people get up on the morning of the 12th and turn on their TV, if they haven't done the scanning or gotten the box or all those steps that Ken just talked about, then they won't see it. So it'll be overnight after the network programming is concluded.
So when this happens on June the 12th, will you have been able to pre-scan, or will everybody have to do it that morning?
Everyone's going to have to do it that morning. In fact, they may have to do it multiple times that day. We will switch over at 2 a.m. Some of the other channels may not switch over until 2 a.m. or until midnight on the 12th into the 13th. Okay.
So searching, setting up those new stations is important. Not to be afraid of it, just have to keep doing it. Les, why is this, I think I've heard a lot of people ask the question, why was the government so interested in having this happen?
That's the number one question. Interestingly, the legislative tool that got us to this point was a Budget Reconciliation Act done in 2005. The technology was available for the digital transmission. The government wanted the old spectrum, the old space, back. And what they have done is allocated a lot of it for emergency first responders, and they have sold pieces of it for things like wireless internet, additional cell services. So the government has been able to make money off of the old spectrum. So it's really it's not just a technology issue for the government, it also was a budget issue.
And in that sense, this is very different than some of the other technological advances in the past, which had no public policy implications or large public
That's correct.
Public.
I mean, I compare I tell people this is the biggest change in television since we went from black and white to color. But that was strictly a technology and viewer benefit thing. There was no government policy issue or mandate with this. This is the first time of that kind of thing.
Okay. Ken, we've talked about these key things, about the converter box, about the scanning. Is there anything else you want to be sure people really know out there?
The scanning process does not take a short amount of time as we showed in the clip. It can take 5 or 10 minutes sometimes.
Okay.
And you're going to have to rescan, and if you move your antenna, you're going to have to rescan again, because you may move your antenna to pick up some channels, and you may have to move your antenna to pick up some of the other channels. So the scanning process is going to be something that people do quite often.
It's going to be, no matter how well prepared people are, there's going to be people who are confused on
Correct.
June the 12th. What will we be doing that morning?
Well, we will have people at the television station to take calls, and we're going to have the numbers available on our website and in the preview shows that we're doing to help them through it. And they're also, the FCC, you can find on their website, they have an 800 number that works for everybody across the country, regardless of what station you're watching. So, and in some cases, Ken has gone to people's houses. So we are going to be there to try to answer people's questions and walk everybody through this.
We can't run Ken everywhere, though.
Not that day. He's going to be answering phones here.
Now, if you still have questions about, or you know a relative or a neighbor or a friend who still seems confused or concerned and wants to know the switch, on Memorial Day, May the 25th, Bob Herzog, who you see on the screen right now, will host a half-hour special that will take place and will focus on the switch. I'm not sure if there's going to be any dancing, any Friday morning dancing, but I do know it's going to be informative, and if Bob's involved, it's going to be fun. So if you still have questions, or you have a relative or a neighbor you think needs to watch this, May the 25th, Memorial Day at 10:30 in the morning is a really good place to get that final set of information. Thank you for being here. Thank you, and I'm sure we're all going to get through this because everybody's going to want to watch TV.
That's right.
That's going to force the issue.
That's right.
Stay tuned. After the break, an exhibit that opens today attempts to break through the silence on the terrible violation of human rights in the Congo. Welcome back. If you're like me, there is so much information out there, it can wash right past you. But as a visual person, great photographs can grab my attention in a powerful and moving way. Civil war and communal violence have racked the Democratic Republic of Congo for years. A traveling exhibit entitled Congo, Shattering the Silence, will be in Greater Cincinnati for the next several weeks at 2 locations. It opens tonight at the Sisters of Charity Mother House in Donohue. To discuss the exhibit and the goals of the local organizers, I am joined now by Sister Louise Akers, a Sister of Charity and the Director of the Office of Peace, Justice, and the Integrity of Creation, and Father Paul Donohue, the Director of Benefactor Relations for the Comboni Missionaries, a religious order that has special connection to the continent of Africa. Welcome to Newsmakers. Louise, welcome back.
Thank you.
What's happening and what's been happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo over the last, I don't know, decade or so? Because a lot of people don't know, sort of the turmoil that's been going on. How would you sort of summarize what's going on there?
The thing that caught my attention and that helped me decide to have this exhibit with the Combonis is that I learned that almost 6 million people have been killed in the last 10 years in Congo.
6 million?
Almost. It's the worst war since World War II as far as human fatalities are concerned.
Wow.
And in the midst of that, hundreds of thousands of women have been raped and tortured and left to live. Hundreds of thousands, many of them gang raped. The atrocities are just almost indescribable.
So the human rights issues here,
Right.
besides actual deaths, just the human rights issues.
As a matter of fact, those are the reported rapes and brutalizations, but there are many that go unreported. The Comboni missionaries have been there since 2 years after independence, and some of our fathers died there during the Simba revolt back in the 60s, if you remember. And we went there because many of the people that we were working with in Sudan, the Azande people in particular, are mainly in this oriental part of the Congo. Besides that, Uganda is also, we have missions in the West Bank of Uganda, and many of those people are also in the Congo. So many of the places where we have been working for a number of years are covered, are suffering because of this particular outbreak. I would add that it's unfortunate that the land was blessed with beautiful people and exceptional resources, and this blessing, through violence, has been turned into a curse.
Who did this exhibit? Where did this is a traveling exhibit that's coming to
No,
your...
we did the exhibit.
You
We're
have
doing
done
it,
the
yes.
exhibit.
Right.
You've
Yes.
created the exhibit.
Yes, with many hands and a lot of work. Yes, we created the exhibit. We were going to do one on Darfur, but realized that Darfur is really more and more people know about Darfur and the tragedy that exists there. And so we thought the underreported war is happening in Congo. And so our planning committee really got together the pictures and mounted them and wrote captions for them and have developed an educational packet. So we've put this together.
Well, we do have some photographs, and I want to be able to let people see some of those photographs. I think, and I'm sort of out of order here, but if we could just see, yeah, here's this. This is what I used at the end of the first segment too. Mm-hmm. This is just a powerful, simple little photograph of these 3 children in boxes. I mean, almost, I don't know if a caption's needed, but is there a caption here?
There is, actually. And I don't remember the specific caption for this, but I mean, these are 3 orphan children, and it's important to maintain them distinct. If we know information about them, then it's all in the box there, so that it can be passed on to those who want to support these children. It is a very powerful picture, there's no doubt.
We have another one of a victim, an adult or a young adult who is a victim of some brutality,
right,
and sort of brings home.
This woman was treated in the hospital that we have in Mungbere in eastern Congo. And you can see, stitching back together her face is kind of symbolic of trying to put together her own life again. And the question comes, did she do something to merit this? I mean, why
And
is
nobody
this,
would merit that.
and nobody would. I mean,
There's a lot of photographs, a number of photographs of the military, because the military, take a look at a couple of here. What's the role of the official military establishment? This is a wonderful photograph, by the way. What's the role of the military in this issue?
it's difficult to understand who's the military and who are the militia. Some of these militia are backed by various governments. This area, by the way, there's a kind of a local connection, is known as the Great Lakes region. Something like, we're in the Great Lakes region here, but these are people that they've come into being because of the mineral resources there. And it's the mineral resources that enables them to purchase the guns that they use. And the function here is not in building, creating society and maintaining order, but it's to extract the wealth of the minerals.
Well, as we move along here, and we have another photograph of another part of the military establishment I'd like to go to, and also that we can move right beyond that. Here's an officer. It could be in one of the militias as well, but also if we can move on to there's a shot of the United Nations, of a United Nations tank. Take a look. So there are outside efforts here to try to deal with this. Here's the UN.
Right. The UN is trying to create a buffer between these rebels or militia and the people, so that the people who flee from these attacks by the militia may have some peace in their life, some semblance of order.
Louise, where did these photos come from?
We got them from different websites. We got them from Catholic Relief Services. We got some of them from the Comboni Missionaries. So it's a real collection. And we chose carefully, and also have, as we said, captions. And I think part of the reason for this exhibit is certainly to raise awareness of the underreported war, but also in relationship to what you just showed about the UN tank, to help people understand that we can do something, we can have an impact. So we have, in our educational packet, we have lots of suggested actions and educational tools.
And that educational packet is available through you, is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
And we're going to let people know how to get to that in just a few minutes here. But so you're suggesting ways that people actually can be active.
Right.
And give me an example. What would you hope that people do who maybe are touched by this exhibit?
Well, I would like to see them make this kind of reflection that, do I need this new cell phone? Do I need this new iPod? Because a lot of the material that goes in there comes from Congo. And as people in this downturn, in this economy that is turned down, readjust, perhaps they could, consider if they could do with less of some of the elements, the mineral elements that are fueling this war.
Mm-hmm. We just saw an image while you were talking of a mining operation being overseen by a military person of some type. I don't know who's who in this situation.
It's hard to tell sometimes.
It's very hard to tell. And I want to make sure we have enough time to let people know, if you would like to view the exhibit, it opens later this afternoon at the Sisters of Charity in Delhi. Basically, if you're not familiar, take Delhi Road, past the College of Mount St. Joe, until it runs dead into the mother house of the Sisters of Charity, their property there. The exhibit is in the Emmaus room. After tonight, you can view it through Friday between 6 and 9 p.m. each night or by appointment. Now, from Sunday, May the 31st through June the 5th, the exhibit will move and be at the headquarters of the Comboni Missionaries on Nagel Road off Beachmont on the east side of town. So if you live on the east side and you're scared to go over to Delhi, you can check out all this information, including the educational packet on the website, and I'm just going to give you one, of the Sisters of Charity at www.srcharitycinti.org. And we just have a few seconds left, but will this move past Cincinnati? Will this continue to travel?
We don't know yet.
But it's our hope.
It's your
there
hope.
are other communities of Comboni Missionaries and Sisters of Charity where this could go.
Okay. Thank you for being this. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for making Newsmakers a part of your Sunday morning. Join us again next week to meet the men and the women working to shape our regional community and the world for the future. Have a good week.